All right, hey guys, today we are going to be learning about author's perspective. And with author's perspective, what that means is how the author actually feels about the topic. Not only why are they writing it, but do they like the topic? Do they think that the topic is just their overall feel of the topic? So, what does perspective mean? Hey, I recognize the root word perspective. I recognize a root within the word perspective. I bet I'll be able to use the root to help define the word. So the root that they're talking about is spect. And with spect, it is a Latin root which means to see. So we can then figure out that perspective refers to how a person sees a given situation. So, perspective is how, when you go through something, how you saw it. Somebody else could be right beside you and have a completely different perspective as to what actually happened. It's all about personal experience, feelings, emotions. How you feel about the topic will completely determine that perspective. Two people can have two different perspectives, kind of like what I was just talking about. That means that two people can see things differently. Again, this is based on your upbringing. This is based on your morals, your values, your feelings, what you consider to be important, what you don't consider to be important. All of those things help to form your perspective. Let's look at an example. Tomorrow is the first game of the college football season. And Blake's perspective is, I can't wait to watch football games on TV every Saturday this fall. This is the best time of year. And then we have Kellen's perspective. Ugh, it's football season again. My dad is going to be sitting on the sofa watching football games every Saturday for the next few months. Watching football on TV is boring. So as you can see, the topic was the same. They're both looking at the same situation, the same event, but they both also had two totally different perspectives. Now, this is also known as author's point of view. So on your check-ins and on your tests, you are going to hear this called author's point of view. And a lot of times people will get that confused because they'll think first, second, third. When it says author's point of view, that just means how they feel about the topic. And that's when you start looking at their tone throughout the passage, how they feel, what their emotions are towards that topic. Are they positive? If they're positive, then you can tell that the author probably likes or has a positive perspective. If it's negative, then you can probably gather or infer that the author has a negative point of view towards the topic. Can you identify two different perspectives for the following event? Adam and Alyssa's dad tells them that they're going to go on a road trip to California from their home in Pennsylvania. Alyssa thinks, this is going to be great. We'll be able to see several cool landmarks like the Grand Canyon and Mammoth Cave. So, what do you think Alyssa's perspective is? And then you have Adam. What a long trip. I always feel motion sick when I have to ride in the back seat of the car. This isn't going to be fun at all. So what do you think Adam's perspective is? Let's try again with Jen and Mike. Jen and Mike's grandpa has decided to buy a kitten for companionship. Why did Grandpa get a kitten? A puppy would have been so much more entertaining than a kitten, and it would have been a better companion, too. I'm so glad Grandpa decided to get a kitten. Kittens are so adorable and playful. So both of these had a different perspective. And in this one, Mike had a negative perspective. He did not want Grandpa to get a kitten. He thought that a dog would be a much better pet. And Jen was super excited that Grandpa bought a kitten. So her perspective was a very positive perspective. Can you identify two different perspectives for the following event? Juan and Rachel's teacher just started reading a new chapter book during read aloud time. It's a realistic fiction book. So again, same event, two different people, two different thoughts, two different feelings. Let's see what's going on. The book is a bit boring. I prefer science fiction and fantasy books. I hope Miss A reads a science fiction book sometime this year. And then Rachel thinks, this is the best book Mrs. A has read all year long. The next time I go to the library, I'm going to see if this is part of a series. Two different perspectives. Which one has the negative perspective? Juan. And we know this because he says that it is boring. So the word boring would be a key word to tell us that that is probably not a positive. When you read the word boring, it has a negative connotation. So that lets you know that he does not have a positive. He has a negative feeling towards this book. And then it says, I prefer, which means he would rather. I really hope Miss A reads a science fiction book, and then it tells you what he wishes that she would read instead. And then here, if you look over here at Rachel's, it says, this is the best book Miss A has read all year long. So the word best gives you a positive connotation or a positive feeling, which tells us that she has a positive perspective. And then it even goes to say that the next time she goes to the library, she's going to see if this book is part of a series. And because she's looking to see if it's part of a series, it's telling you that she really enjoys the book and wants to read more. Let me erase these marks for us. Okay, we're going to do one more. Jonah begged his parents to buy a trumpet for him. They agreed to buy one for him as long as he practices from 4 to 4:30 each day. It is now 4 o'clock. I don't feel like practicing my trumpet. I want to go play soccer with my friends. So that was Jonah. And then we have, who I am assuming is Jonah's dad. Jonah needs to practice. I spent a lot of money buying that trumpet, so he needs to practice each day like he promised. So, with this one, this is where we start looking not only into positive or negative, but defending why. So, in this one, they're both kind of a negative connotation. And we know that because he's like, I don't feel like practicing. I want to go do something else. So this tells us this is a negative. but it's a negative because he wants to go do something else. So the author's perspective from this one is he feels negative towards the trumpet because he wants to go play soccer. And then we have Jonah's dad, who also feels negative because it's saying he needs to practice. I spend a lot of money. So he's feeling negative. The author's perspective for that one would be negative because Jonah isn't doing what he said he would do. Authors often create characters with different perspectives. So a lot of times authors will create a different character. Now this is more towards your fiction than your nonfiction because remember nonfiction does not have your characters, but we're going to talk about this too just in case. Read the following 3 passages and identify the contrasting perspectives between the 2 characters within the passage. Katie, can you help me add this contact to my phone? I just can't remember how to do everything with this fancy new iPhone, said Katie's grandmother, handing her the phone. Sure, Grandma, replied Katie. I'm a pro at this because it's just like my iPod. It's really quite easy. Just watch what I do. Katie touched the screen a few times and then handed the phone back to Grandma. Thanks, Katie. I have no idea how you did that, though. I just think I might be too old to learn all of this new technology. Just when I think I've figured it out, they change it all again, Katie's grandmother complained. I love new technology, said Katie. In fact, I can't wait to find out what the next version of the iPhone will be able to do. So our 2 characters will be Katie and Grandma. What is Katie's perspective in that passage? And then what is Grandma's perspective? Katie's perspective is new technology is exciting, while Grandma's perspective is that new technology is confusing and overwhelming to learn. Let's look at another one. Ben, will you play with me? Asked 5-year-old Anna. No, I have a ton of homework I have to do, Ben told his younger sister. You're so lucky. I wish I had homework to do. You think that you are the lucky one. I think that you are the lucky one, Anna, because you don't have an hour of homework to do after school. You can go outside and play with your friends whenever you want, Ben pointed out. I'd rather do homework than go out and play, Anna said. Believe me, Anna, you'll feel differently when you're in the 4th grade. You definitely don't want homework anymore, said Ben. No, I'll always love doing homework. I'll never get sick of it, Anna insisted. So our 2 characters in that passage were Ben and Anna. Take a moment and try to think about what Ben's perspective was and what Anna's perspective is. Okay. So we're going to go back or actually Ben's perspective is that homework is not fun and he wishes he didn't have to do it. Let's go back in the passage and find out why that would be his perspective, how we can prove that that is his perspective. So, in this passage, he says he thinks that she is the lucky one because she doesn't have an hour of homework. And he says he gives things that he could do instead of his homework. And then when she says, nuh-uh, he says, you'll feel differently, meaning that he already feels that different way. And then Anna's perspective is that she enjoys or wants to do homework or thinks that homework is really cool. So we can prove that because Anna says, you're so lucky when her brother Ben says that he has homework. And then she says, I wish I had homework to do. And then at the end it says, no, I'll always love doing homework. So these three things help us to prove that